Hours continued to fly by as Suoh and I moved on from one mode of transport to another. We hopped between trains and buses as we gradually made our way through the city, inching closer and closer to the coordinates my father gave us. By the time we arrived in the district in question, however, night had fallen and the excessive travel had made us wary. So rather than head out immediately and begin the hunt, Suoh and I grabbed some supplies and headed to our hotel room, which Karasu booked in advance. Phew. Finally a chance to rest. It feels weird to be so tired when all we've done is travel all day. But I don't know, travel is kind of weird because it literally feels like you're not doing much, you're mainly sitting. But traveling can be so tiring for some reason. I don't know what it is exactly about it, but traveling is really tiring. Setting aside the food and clothing we bought on the way, Suoh sat down on one of the two double beds in our room. The room was far more luxurious than the one I usually stayed in, and I assumed from the two double beds that it was intended for 4 people rather than 2. Not that I was going to complain. A double bed each, a television in the room, a window with a view? It doesn't get much better than that. So, ready for dinner? Or would you rather see what's on TV? It feels like it wasn't too long ago when we last ate, so it might be better to wait. But I'll probably fall asleep before dinner if we don't eat soon, so I don't really mind either way. That's true. Takeaway food doesn't reheat too well either, so we shouldn't leave it for tomorrow. Although I am tired, I'm not particularly sleepy, so it doesn't matter to me if we eat now or later. If Suoh is going to sleep soon, eating now works for me. A little surprised by my own logical, adult thought process, I began to unpackage the food we had ordered. Purchased out of convenience rather than desire, we opted for kebabs sourced from a Turkish takeaway shop near the hotel. On second thought, these might be a bit heavy for dinner, especially if we're going to bed soon. Maybe we should leave these for tomorrow morning after all. Kebabs for breakfast? That's normal. I want to say not that weird, but it actually is kind of weird, right? Or at least here in the Netherlands, a lot of people eat mainly bread for breakfast. I'm more of an eggs and bacon kind of guy. And I actually, weird enough, that actually only changed because I think it was, I used to play soccer when I was little, and our club had there were actually foreign teams staying over for a particular tournament, and because people were coming over, I think it was an English team, so 2 of their players, they just, certain members of the club could take on the responsibility of having those players stay at your house for a little while, and we took that on. So two people came to stay at our house, and they sort of asked if they could have an English breakfast, and I didn't want to feel left out, so I was like, can I have one too? And actually ever since then I mainly had English breakfast after that as well, most of the time at least. Sometimes still bread, but it's mainly just eggs, bacon, toast. Hell yeah, that's the best way to start the morning. Either that, or we go out hunting purely for the exercise. I'm regretting this already, and I haven't even eaten mine yet. Seeing that I was standing next to the unpackaged food, Suoh grabbed his share and took a bite. Upon smelling the warm food and watching Suoh enjoy the greasy, fatty dinner we agreed on, I decided against my better judgment to do the same. I grabbed my share, a chicken kebab filled with random salads and plenty of chili, and took a small bite. Oh gosh, this is good. This is the stuff you'd normally only eat after you get drunk as hell, and then you're hungry after that, and you're like, yep, let's eat some kebab. That's me only though. I don't care if eating before going to bed makes you fat. This is definitely the way to live. Without realizing it, I took another few bites, paying no mind to the sauce dripping down my chin. Now I remember why my father rarely gives me food money. If I ate like this every day, my targets would hear me coming a mile away. So much for stealthiness at that point. That's true, when you gotta be stealthy, you gotta kinda have the lean, slim body. I'll start eating healthy again when we return home. I promise. As I quickly decimated half of my kebab, I noticed Suoh staring at me from his own bed. Rather than adopting a look of derision or judgment, he seemed surprised to see that I was so much further through my portion than he was. You might want to slow down there. You're going to give yourself indigestion. I looked down at my half-finished kebab and realized that he was right. It wouldn't be the first time that I'd gotten sick from eating too quickly, nor would it be the last. Oh, before that, Suoh puts his chair back down on the bedside table and leaned over towards me. Just as I was wondering what he was doing, Suoh raised one of the paper napkins which came with our order and wiped my chin, soaking up the sauce smeared on my face. Caught off guard by the sudden gesture, a breath escaped my mouth as Suoh's hand brushed against my face. Through the napkin, his fingers gently rubbed against my lips, causing my face to grow hotter as my thoughts become frantic. Even though I knew there was nothing special or symbolic behind the gesture, the unexpected contact literally took my breath away. What am I doing? What's going on? He's just wiping my mouth. Why am I getting flustered? But to be fair, this is a kind of thing that even good friends, some good friends don't do to each other, you know? So I can kind of understand her being flustered because of this. I turned away so Suoh couldn't see my face. As much as I'd like to blame the chili, I knew he was the reason why I was losing my composure, and for the life of me, I couldn't figure out why. Love. What the heck is wrong with me? That wasn't even direct skin contact, yet I'm hiding my face like a scared child. I stole a peek at Suoh, who was trying not to chuckle at my reaction. This is gonna be a long night. I don't think Misa was able to get any sleep. Half an hour or so after we finished eating, Suoh washed his mouth out and went to bed. Given our sudden departure, neither one of us thought to bring along toothpaste or toothbrushes, so I followed suit and settled for swishing water around my mouth and gargling. I turned the lamp off after Suoh bid me goodnight, and then pulled my blanket over my torso and shut my eyes. Ambient in nature, the sound of Suoh's breathing helped the fatigue to take control of my body. His breathing sounded softer than at his place, while we slept side by side on the same bed, yet it was soothing all the same. Until recently, I'd always wondered how married couples could sleep next to one another. It can be pleasant to sleep beside someone who moves around in their sleep, after all, or someone who snores. Yet, despite the fact that I frequently wake up in awkward positions, he hasn't complained at all about my sleeping habits, and I haven't woken up once so far from this either. Maybe this was just another case of me overthinking things. Thinking about how we slept peacefully beside one another, my thoughts stimulated my brain and kept me from falling asleep. Maybe I think the reason why Misa overthinks a lot of stuff is because she's unable to express her thoughts verbally. So, you know, it would be, I wouldn't call her boring, but you know, there wouldn't be a lot going on for her if she couldn't both talk and wasn't thinking a lot. So I feel like her overthinking is kind of overcompensating for the fact that she is unable to talk. It comes across to me that way anyway. Though the irony was not lost on me, I wasn't exactly displeased by this situation either. I had an entire double bed to myself, unlike at Suoh's house, and sprawling out felt unbelievably good. My bed was even more comfortable than it looked. It seemed like a shame to fall asleep so soon. This really is a better arrangement. I'm still lulled to sleep by the sound of Suoh's breathing, yet I have an entire double bed to myself. I can move around as I please, get up without waking him, and take as much of the blanket as I want. It doesn't get any better than this. That's right. It doesn't get any better than this. She actually misses it. Somehow discontent, I abandoned my double bed and sat down next to Suoh. I lowered my body, resting my right elbow on his free pillow, and watched his face closely as he slept. So this is what Suoh looks like when he's sleeping. Usually we sleep back to back, so I've never seen his sleeping face before. Which is probably to be expected. Watching someone sleep is considered creepy, isn't it? Even if it is creepy, I can see why someone would want to do it. Or why a creep would want to do it. Suoh looks so calm and peaceful right now, like he doesn't have a care in the world. He's just laying there, unmoving, undisturbed, completely vulnerable. If he were my target, I could easily dispose of him. Well, Suoh is your target though, right? But not for killing. I could slit his throat wide open, poison him, pierce his heart. I could kill him with ease in any number of ways. Wow, these are great thoughts to have right now, Misa. She's like, I'm developing feelings for this guy, even though I don't think she realizes it that well yet. But she does, exhibit those feelings, and like her reactions, it's very clear that she likes Suoh, but I don't think she really realizes it yet. But it's weird that she's having these feelings, I could kill this guy right about now in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe even 10 different ways right now. Interesting. But he isn't my target, and Suoh is not someone I want to hurt, let alone kill. No, when I look at Suoh's face like this, all that comes to mind is... is she gonna do it? Oh! My eyes unconsciously move down to Suoh's lips. Still slightly moistened with saliva, his lips occasionally open to let in air. For the most part, they remained only slightly ajar as he quickly breathed through his nose. Until he breathed through his mouth, the gap between his lips was not wide enough for me to even put my finger between them. Even so, I continued to stare at his lips, both fixated and confused, as I myself wondered what was so interesting. Honestly, what am I doing right now? I should be asleep, enjoying amazing, unrealistic dreams to which reality cannot compare. Why am I staring at Suoh? What's so interesting about watching him sleep? Despite my insistence that I didn't understand what I was doing, or that I was just watching him, I continued to draw my face closer to his. I moved my mouth around slightly, just enough to feel the existence of my own lips, then leaned in closer still. He really is asleep, right? Even if I were to touch his face, Suoh wouldn't wake up, would he? Not if he's a light sleeper, he would wake up, I think. What about if I cuddled up to him and wrapped my arms around his torso while he slept? Or if I went as far as to touch his lips with mine? Finally acknowledging my own shameful motive, I parted my lips and closed the gap between Suoh and I. Oh my god, are you really doing that, Misa? I drew my face so close that I could feel his breath overlapping mine. All he would have had to do was pucker his lips, and the two of us would be kissing. But before I could cross that final line, Suoh's soft breathing suddenly stopped, and he stirred in his sleep. Sara... Oh god, he's crying? I pulled my lips away from Suoh's, just far enough to see the tears welling in his eyes. In an instant, I understood what was going on, and I repulsed even myself with my selfish actions. What am I doing? Suoh is grieving, mourning the death of his twin sister, and I'm thinking about that? It hasn't even been a week since she died. He's still suffering a pain I know all too well. Yet, instead of showing sympathy, what do? I steal Sara's place in his house, sneak into Suoh's bed, and trying to force myself on him while he's asleep. You're making it sound really creepy, Misa. Am I really that kind of person? Shocked by my own callousness, I watched the tears in Suoh's eyes gain mass. And just as he had in the hospital, by his sister's side, Suoh cried heartfelt tears, overwhelmed by the pain of losing his final family member. That day in the hospital, he was so distraught that even I couldn't stop crying. A girl had died, a girl that had only met once before, and yet there I was, crying like a baby as Suoh denied what he was seeing. Before then, I never realized I was capable of such deep empathy. I didn't think I could ever shed tears for a complete stranger. And yet, looking back now, I can't help but wonder, were those tears even real? I jumped at the first chance to insert myself into the space left by her death, unveiling my true nature as an opportunistic bastard. My best friend, my boyfriend, just had his world shattered, and my first reflex was to take advantage of his loss. Those are not the actions of a girlfriend, or a best friend, or even a human being. Those are the actions of a monster. The next day, Thursday morning, November the 24th. After a sleepless night next to Suoh, I awoke to find myself in a surprising amount of pain. Still resting in Suoh's bed, my vision was blurry from the moment I opened my eyes, and I could tell that I shed tears after my late night revelation. But it wasn't just my eyes that hurt. The pain racking my body emanated from two other locations as well. The first, and also the easiest for a third party to guess, was my stomach. The kebab I had eaten before going to bed, packed with chili and full of fat and grease, was giving me indigestion worse than was forewarned. It was nothing a trip to the bathroom wouldn't fix, but for the time being, my intestines were making their own rules. The other source of pain, one which only I could truly be sure of, was my heart. My red eyes were nothing more than a symptom of the emotional turmoil I put myself through last night. The real pain came from within, as I discovered while torturing myself and trying to sort out my feelings. Unfortunately, this pain wouldn't be so easy to rid myself of, and in all likelihood, it wasn't something I could cure on my own. I don't think Misa should be so harsh on herself, because I agree everything that she sort of said, before she fell asleep, while she was after Suoh started crying in his sleep, or at least tearing up. Those are usually not the normal thoughts that a normal person has, but I think Misa just can't compare herself to that standard, because she, not to say that she isn't a normal person, but she hasn't led a normal life for a majority, if not her entire life, right? So I feel like it's just, hard to compare her, at least she shouldn't compare herself to the same degree as normal people, because she's just you know, at some point you just gotta accept it that she hasn't led a normal life. So it's safe to say actually that she's also not a normal person because of it. And I feel like every opportunity that she gets to get a little bit closer towards leading a normal life, she just grabs that opportunity because that's just what she wants, and that's just what she's been almost just aching for so many years, right? So yeah, many people in that would be normal, and their boyfriend's sister had died. Yeah, they would definitely react differently than she had at that moment. But I think for Misa, she just saw it as an opportunity to get closer to the person that she is the closest with, which is obviously people she doesn't have many of those people. So I don't know, it's just, I can't blame her too much for thinking like that, just because of her past, solely because of that. If she was a normal person, I would be a little bit more like, yeah, probably not right thoughts to have, and it's still not right thoughts to have, but at least it's somewhat understandable, I think. Fighting off my lethargy and depression, I stretched my torso and tried to wake up. I had slept in longer than Suoh, but I obviously hadn't slept well, and I was only just beginning to pay for it. Misa, how on earth can you be tired? You usually wake up far earlier than I do. Having already showered and changed into the new outfit he bought yesterday, Suoh chastised my laziness, completely oblivious to what went on last night. However, I was in no state to argue. I could barely even stand, let alone rebuke him. Yeah, you said that already. Well, what are you expecting me to say? Yeah, nothing. I'm tired, alright? Lay off. I walked past Suoh and headed for the shower, grabbing my new clothes along the way. If there were ever a time when I needed a hot shower, this was it. Starting our hunt with breakfast at a local cafe, Suoh and I wasted no more time before chasing down our soon-to-be former co-workers. We headed straight for the closer beacon, using the coordinates given to us by my father. Upon reaching the first beacon, there appeared to be nothing in sight. No comrade waiting with open arms, no trap ready to be sprung, not even a corpse awaiting removal. I looked around a bit further away, knowing that the GPS coordinates wouldn't be accurate to the centimeter, and after a few moments of searching a nearby alley, I knew that I had found what we were looking for. I understand why we shouldn't be able to track one another, but day-old coordinates are a bit... Once I was sure I had found something, I beckoned Suoh over. He met me in front of the alley, wherein we found... Vincent's rotting corpse. Set off by the smell of Vincent's remains, my stomach finally threw in the towel. I vomited on the nearby wall, unleashing last night's dinner for some unfortunate city worker to deal with. My red eyes were now teary again, and I could feel mucus making its way down my nostrils. This is the worst. My eyes hurt, my stomach hurts, there's vomit on my shoes, and my mouth is on fire. I want to go home. Misa, are you feeling okay? We could head back to the hotel before going any further if you need a break. That does sound nice. At the very least, I could wash my mouth out and change my shoes. No, toughen up, Misa. You're a professional. Start acting like one. Okay, but don't push yourself. If you need to rest, I won't say anything. Despite my initial refusal, Suoh and I returned to our hotel room sooner than anticipated. We had been searching for hours and still failed to locate Violet, or potentially her killer, making our hard work seem like an exercise in futility. Since we weren't getting anywhere anyway, Suoh and I decided to take a break for lunch, after which we'd try again. My stomach was empty after puking, aside from the sweet Suoh bought me to take away the taste, so an early lunch was just what I needed. With lunch over all too soon, I quickly changed my shoes before heading out. Our second target seemed to be moving around a lot, at least more than the corpse we already located, so our job was a little more complicated this time. What a pain. Every time I move, our target gets further. Well, at least now I'll get some time away from Misa. In order to lure our target out, Suoh and I split up. I left my phone a fair distance away, operating under the assumption that we were being tracked, then returned to watch Suoh from the shadows. And after a short wait, surely enough, perhaps we're not so different after all. It's about time you took back control of your own life, don't you think? Violet appeared. So she's alive after all. With Vincent already decomposing, I was worried that Violet might have shared his same fate. And now that I've confirmed her well-being, however, the joy of killing Violet will be all mine. She can be quite vengeful. Paying no mind to my own dark thoughts, nurtured through routine torment at Violet's hands, I listened in as Suoh questioned Violet. As much as I wanted to kill Violet, she possessed information we did not, and I couldn't rob Suoh of the opportunity to learn who killed his sister. So what do you say? Shall we continue this conversation at length, somewhere a little more private? I clenched the blade hidden behind my back as Violet smirked seductively at Suoh. Is that the only thing you can do, huh, Violet? Whether it was simple jealousy or something far more sinister, I knew at that moment that I would derive far too much pleasure from her execution. Yeah, okay. Hehe, you won't regret this. Things will be difficult at first, but then... Come on out, Misa. Huh? Oh, yeah, girl! The moment Suoh signaled that he was done with Violet, I appeared behind her with my blade drawn. Misa was waiting for this. She couldn't wait any longer. Like, I'm pretty sure if Suoh had waited 5 minutes, you know, if this conversation had gone on 5 minutes longer, Misa would have jumped at Violet herself. I kicked at one of Violet's knees and brought her down to my height, at which point I grabbed her by the hair and arrested my blade on her throat. Gah, what the hell is this? Exactly what it looks like, traitor. Misa realized the coordinates we were being sent. You fucking bitch! You weren't supposed to be here! Go back to your papa's teat, little girl! Ever offensive, Violet ignored Suoh completely and began to shout obscenities at me. Violet tried to struggle free, summoning all of the strength she amassed in her extra years on this planet. In response, I secured my blade and trod on Mika's what? Violet's calf, almost wishing I hadn't changed shoes. Sorry to disappoint Violet, but Misa isn't going anywhere. In fact, she's been with me this whole time. Tcha, so that's your choice, huh? Well done, you little skank. At long last, you finally got a man to protect you. And that means you finally sunk to my level. Not so high and mighty now, are you? You pathetic, flat-chested virgin. Honestly, what a miserable little... Though repulsed by Violet's insinuation that I was anything like her, I responded to her verbal abuse, not as the weak little girl she claimed me to be, but rather in a manner befitting a professional killer. I cut into her with both precision and delight, unconsciously smirking as I ended her hurtful monologue. Who's the weak little girl now, huh? You whore! You're the one who needs a man to protect you, not me. What I have is a mutual partnership, not a loveless, one-sided relationship built on manipulation, like those you fostered. Yeah, you tell her, Misa. But hey, what would a pathetic, flat-chested virgin like me know anyway? Oh my god, she's like slicing the neck or the top of her head off. Holy shit. Even as my blade threatened to sever the last strand of skin connecting Violet's head to her shoulders, I didn't stop cutting. Her body fell limp, her lungs stopped expanding, and her eyes lost all of their fire, yet still, I cut into her. I watched with glee as the blood poured from Violet's neck, staining the disgusting body which she took such pride. In fact, I had half a mind to behead her, or to fetch my phone and take a commemorative photo. Holy shit, Misa does have a dark side. I mean, we knew it before we got glimpses of it, but this is to the extreme. She's like utterly enjoying this. She's like, ha ha ha, yes, yes, yes. But I did not. For all of the pleasure her death brought me, it was not a moment I wanted to extend any longer, or to relive. With Violet's death, I hoped to close a chapter of my life I never wanted to look back on again. As our mission came to a close, so too did our time in this part of the city. Suoh and I had been tasked with the care of two of our former co-workers, and with Violet's death, we had accomplished just that. Though our time away was short, it went without saying that it was an unforgettable experience. In terms of both my personal and professional growth, I learned a lot about myself, things I could have never learned just sitting around a hotel room while watching television. Even if there were some parts of the experiments or experience I'd rather forget, it was all without a doubt worthwhile. I mean, you can definitely tell from that scene where she like killed Violet. It was both a combination of, like she mentioned, sort of closing a chapter in her life, putting that sort of, closeted life that she's been living for so long, trying to put that behind her and focus on her new life, and just solely focusing on that, and also like some sort of, I guess, revenge for all the just verbal and otherwise abuse that Violet has, given to Misa every single meeting. Because I'm pretty sure we got a couple of looks at it through some of the meetings, how Violet just, acts towards Misa as a complete bitch. And I'm pretty sure it wasn't just only those times. I'm pretty sure it was plenty more and more and more. And that just keeps piling up after a while, It's just like, if a bully keeps bullying you for a long time, you start to have thoughts like, oh my god, I want to kill this guy. Obviously, you don't do it. But Misa is both skillful at it, that's part of her job, and she had the right opportunity to do so while getting away with it. I'm not trying to condone murder at all, right? If you have a bully, just, there are plenty of other ways to deal with it. Don't fucking kill that person, that's what I'm saying. But in this situation, in this fantasy visual novel, I can understand why why Misa kind of did it and had pleasure doing so. I emerged from the bathroom after taking my second shower of the day. Although I managed to keep Violet's blood off me, I still felt dirty after throwing up earlier, not to mention touching Violet's filthy body. Feeling better now? I mean, it kind of felt like they were arch nemesis almost, It was our arch enemy. That's good. I know you're not fond of unnecessary violence, but I couldn't see that scenario ending any other way. Violet's death was entirely necessary, and even if it wasn't, for Violet's sake, I would gladly cast aside my usual creed and cut her down to size. So is there anything else you want to do before we head back tomorrow? We'll be traveling for most of the day, So if there's something you want to do, or buy, tomorrow morning will be your chance. No. I've already gotten enough out of this trip. Perfect or not, I'm happy with the way things turned out. If our trip just ends like this, I'll have no complaints. Still, if I had to choose one thing to do differently, it will be what happened last night. It really was a shame to end things there, especially given my self-loathing thereafter. On the other hand, there's a part of me that's glad nothing happened. As bad as I felt, I would feel even worse if I did force myself on Suoh while he was sleeping. And besides, I didn't really want my first kiss to taste like kebab. I mean, you don't want your first kiss to be a situation like that anyway, you know, where the other person isn't even participating in the kiss, almost. Because Suoh is just laying there asleep. He's not consciously trying to kiss you back, you know, his lips are there and you just put your lips on his, and it's like, yeah, well, it just doesn't feel that great as a normal first kiss would, I imagine, so she'll get another chance at that later, I'm pretty sure.